Welcome to the Encouragement Engineering Podcast, where we help people to combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives with a positive perspective and positive action. Today's guest is Yoni Rios. Our guest knows the meaning of moving forward with a positive mindset. An ex-felon convicted of a hit and run at the peak of his soccer career to owning a trucking and logistic business, as well as flipping real estate and earning a seven-figure income in a calendar year. Nothing would be possible without the mindset acquired in sports during the hard times of getting his life together after the felony. With a mindset that you can do anything, Yanni is hungry to triple what he has done in the next 5 years, but also pay it forward with the youth and new entrepreneurs, showing them what is possible and the desire, discipline, and the right mindset. So please welcome to the show, Yoni Rios. Yanni, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
Bob, thank you so much. That was such a sick opening, man. I was excited. I'm pretty excited. I felt like I'm in a boxing ring and I just got introduced and it's like all these achievements. Pretty sick. Thank you, man. Thank you for hosting this. Thank you for putting this together, the podcast. I think this source of information is very valuable for people who are, just trying to get together, trying to get as much information and I think I know that now my story just gives a lot of validation to the people who might be struggling and gives them some source of validation. Sometimes because their lack of education, they feel like they can't do it, but no, they definitely can do it.
Well, let me ask you this. If we can, let the people get to know you a little bit. How did you get to where you are? Tell us a little bit about your backstory. I mean, we touched on it in your bio, but tell us a little more if you would.
Of course. Yeah. So I'm an immigrant. My parents brought me at age 2. I were born in Mexico, proud Mexican, proud immigrant. And I think just I'm going to say something really, really important here. I think that before, when I was in that victim mentality, I used to see the fact that English was my second language, the fact that I wasn't born with money or anything with that as an objection, but I saw it. I think now, no, I know now that I'm older, I saw that as my drive, that
Okay.
because I'm an immigrant, I had that extra desire to succeed. I had because we come from from an area where it's very, very poor. We don't want that. So that was kind of like the fuel. So that was my blessing. So whatever
Yeah.
circumstances that we're facing, that is your blessing to later on. So that obstacle that you're facing, that's actually the way, as Ryan Holiday says it. So yeah, I was born in Mexico. I was brought here very young. I did the whole school system here in to be specific, Huntington Park, California, which is about 10 miles from downtown LA.
Okay.
Super Hispanic community. It's all Hispanic community. 95% I'll have to say is Hispanic community. Man, you see a little bit more of the rough side. A lot of friends who ended up in prison, a lot of friends who got killed, but it was just one thing that kept me away from all that temptation, which was sports.
Hmm.
Sports. That's why I'm so like inspired to help the youth, to inspire the youth. I used to coach traveling teams as well with my son, because I believe that's the one source that will keep. It won't keep everyone, but at least it will help a lot of people stay out of trouble, stay distracted, and it'll build them the mindset of facing objections at a young age, and
Yeah.
then just kind of learning how to overcome these objections. And I know for a fact that's what helped me during my career.
Right. Well, and that's what's interesting. I mean, you bring up a great point right there. I mean, sports does help you because you're gonna win some games, you're gonna lose some games. You got to be able to understand how to deal with both sides of that equation and do it in a meaningful way that's good for you, good for teammates, good for other players. Um, and one of the other things you said, it was critical, I think, as a newer immigrant, if you will. I've had a couple generations since my grandparents came over from Europe, but the same thing. You've got a drive that I don't think I think most Americans have forgotten. And that's something that it won't go away for a while because you saw what's possible. I think people that live here a while forget that. And that drive you probably were instilled with your parents because they got an opportunity. You learned that and you grew with that. And I can see sharing that with the youth. How do you keep that going?
Yeah, I think yeah, that definitely that drive. It's kind of like a gift of being an immigrant. I think that's what we get, and I do believe I'm like the second, third, fourth generation. Is complacency and
Yeah.
entitlement is the one that just kind of like washes off that desire. So to me, it's always about a winning. It's not even about money, it's about winning. And then when you can help other people with the similar mindset as you win, you can see yourself in other people's shoe. Like, oh, I remember when I had that drive. He reminds me a lot of me. He's asking all these questions. He's doing so good. His
Mhm.
objections that he's getting over. And you can feel it and you can see yourself in them. So you want to provide. You want to provide. And I think and I know for a fact now that I'm older, that the abundance energy circulates as a circle. So if you don't flow the abundance, the information that you know, you're blocking yourself from the new information, from the new blessings coming your way. So I don't do these podcasts or share the information that I know expecting anything back, but I know that the law of compensation, that's just the way it works. The more you give, the more you get. So I definitely I understood that about 5 years ago, and I just started kind of giving a little bit, giving it, and now I embraced it. I'm an immigrant, and I did this, and I'm doing that, and I know you can do it too, and I see myself in you. So I'm super inspired every day. I'm just here to win. Today I was at the gym at 3:45 in the morning, and
Wow.
like I'm just inspired. I'm lit up
Yeah.
every day.
And that's really some, I mean, that personal drive, that idea that, okay, one, you're on the right side of the grass. I mean, that's a blessing in itself to be on the green side of the grass. And to be able to get up and be excited about everything. I'm with you. I'm the early bird. I love that 4:30, boom, the alarm's going off. I'm getting up. I've got an opportunity to go. I thank God that I got the chance to wake up. um, it's there's a difference in that appreciation and that mindset of focus on appreciation and love first, if you will, and it just exudes from your personality. Is that something you help people see, is the opportunity of that attitude, that mindset?
100%. I think that so the about 10 years ago I read the book The Miracle Morning by Hal Harold,
Okay.
was a life-changing book for me. And what I came to, and I think I don't know if I heard this before, or I was the one that kind of came up. Gratitude the seek Gratitude is the secret to a great attitude. So when we're grateful for waking up every day, for having our health, for having I was legally blind, which I had 3 surgeries. And now that I can see 40% better than what I could see, that I was able to see before, I'm so grateful for even seeing that. I'm so
um,
grateful to drive a vehicle, because at one point in my life I was incarcerated. At one point in my life I had my suspended license, or my privilege to drive was suspended.
right.
I had $5 negative X amount of money in my account, and now that we have a little bit more, I'm so grateful. I'm like, a lot of people are losing their heads right now with what happens in the economy. And a lot of people do tell me that I live in a fantasy world, and I was like, you live in in the world that you want to live in. Whatever you
Yeah.
want to believe, that's the one you want to believe. I do believe there's always stuff been happening
Yeah.
since the 80s and 70s, but right now they have cameras and there's social media, and just the way that we can give this information through podcasts as a good, we can give the bad. But you
Right.
choose what you attract. So whatever you focus on expands. So I
Right.
try to just focus on the abundance, on the winning, on the love, on the good. Rather, the bad has always been there. It's always been there. So whatever gratitude is the secret to a great attitude. And I think because I'm grateful every day, I do my gratitude journal every single day, Monday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I do it every single day. I'm always grateful. I always have a good attitude. I always that's just the way to start my day. When my days are bad, quote unquote, right? I'm like, they're not even bad. They're actually good. I like them.
Yeah. As people say, a lot of times people are complaining about a bad day and it's first world problems. you know Come on, and it's all a perspective, and I so appreciate that, because it does make a difference. It makes you approachable. It makes you people will listen to that because they know you've gone through it, and there's a mindset shift that you've been able to accomplish to achieve what you've done. I mean, your trucking company, real estate flipping. I mean, what got you to say, I'm done I had a low point and it created your high point. What was that trigger that tripped you that said, I got to go this way. I got to do better. I got to improve this.
It's funny. I remember vividly. So I do meetups, and I asked. I'm sorry. I always give this information that it was a moment I became a parent at a very young age, at 20.
Okay.
So to me, it was like it was having a kid and not being able to provide for my son.
Mhm.
That was it. So I tell everybody. So the secret to this is go ahead and have a kid. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But it did fuel me
yeah,
because I didn't want to be that irresponsible parent who couldn't provide. And I think that not providing is a choice.
yeah,
And I didn't want to make that choice, and I didn't want him to not that I had a rough upbringing, because there was always food on the table for me. I'm super grateful for my hardworking parents. They both had two jobs,
wow,
but I wanted him to see something different. I wanted him to see that the labor, that hard working labor was not the only ways to provide
right,
income. So that was the drive, and then that was kind of what revived the drive, because I always had the drive. But I went to buy some diapers and I was $5 short, and that really made me very embarrassed
yeah,
of not being able to provide. So that just kind of go on. I went on. I got my job. I learned the trade. And I always wanted more. Like I did sales jobs, like passing
right,
newspaper, like most of the teenagers that back in the day they used to
yeah,
do. I used to car wash for the people in my block where I was raised. So I always kind of knew, because there's a big multi-level marketing company that they try to recruit me like at 15, 16 years old, because I was always outspoken.
hmm
One of the best things that happened through that multi-level marketing company, that pyramid company, they gave me the Rich Dad Poor Dad book at 16
ah,
years old, and that just
yeah,
blew my mind.
yeah,
It blew my mind. So it gave me a new kind of like a new I don't know, it just really messed with my head, and I'm like, dude, I can do better. I can do better. So at I was about 21, 22 years old when I was working for a trucking company already, and I said, you know what, I can do this better. I well, not better, but I can do this on my own. And I just took initiative. I saved a little bit of money. I took sacrifice, and I learned the traits of money. And one of my first coaches, mentors, was Jewish, and he showed me how to track money, how to
right,
save money, and how to invest money. So and that's what I learned to this age. I still do the same principles, which are Jewish principles, and that's how I duplicate my money. And now that's how I invest my money.
right. And that's great. I mean, you mentioned something there that's a trigger point too. Having a coach, having somebody that's gone down this road before, not necessarily the same path, but at least understands where you are and where you want to go. And you got that person and they helped you and they guided you. Do you think that gave you the proper inspiration? And like you said, I mean, an MLO company that handed out the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. That's a great book. And that's of all the places to get it, it's like, yeah, okay, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the best things that MLM people do, that they promote books, and I really
Yeah.
like that. As far as the coach that I had, I think that he gave me the right direction.
Mhm.
So, and I say that I use this as an example. If you go on a ship through, I don't know, like Atlantic Ocean, whatever, and the minute you take off, you change just 5 degrees to it, you're gonna end up in a totally different continent. So he
Yeah.
just gave me those little two directions, and it just changed the direction and trajectory of my life, because the little directions that and also he gave me the direction, but I took the discipline to take that information and apply it.
Right.
So yeah, he gave me a lot of direction.
And that's key. You say that, you had to apply it. You had to take action to apply that. So don't, for the listeners, let's not, this just wasn't somebody told him something and then it happened. No, there's
Mm.
action behind every thought, every process. And excuse me, I think that's critical to remind people of, because I'm sure it wasn't easy. I mean, it's not a cakewalk.
It's not. It's usually, especially when you're like 22, 23, when everyone's spending, going to clubs and bars and stuff like that, and you had a goal to save money because you're going to invest.
Yeah.
It is really not easy. There's a lot of times where you doubted if that was the right thing that you're doing, but it definitely was. I'm so happy I did. And obviously there was times where I detour, where I didn't do what I should have, but it just made me just kind of like, I'm like, dude, I need to be on the right track. I need to
Yeah.
be on the right track. So I think everything does happen for a reason. So even to this date, I try to watch what I eat. I try to stay on the good path. But when I don't, and I kind of overeat, let's say I eat a burger and stuff like that, it lands me heavy. The next day I still feel sluggish, but it's a good reminder why I shouldn't eat, because today I eat this, right? So same thing when we used to go to bars and maybe drink excessively and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, this is why I don't drink, right? Um,
Yeah, it
so
hurts. Yeah,
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 yeah.
and it costs
So
too much.
yeah, it costs so much when you're outside and you're like, what? I spent $500 when I had $600 in my account? No,
Yeah, no,
it's so. But everything does happen for a reason, and I know. But at the moment, we don't see the reason. It
right,
is not till later. But that obstacle, that the fact that you can't save $1,000 in your bank account, that is actually the way for your next phase. You're able to save $1,000. It's the next, like, then you'll be ready for more. God will not
right,
give you what you're not ready for. And if you can't save five, 10, $20,000, it's because you're not ready for them. So until you're able to save 1,000, then we move on. And a lot of people don't really get this.
right.
They don't understand it, but maybe they can't give you that significant other because you're not ready for that significant other. You're not
That's
ready
a,
to.
yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, we've got to be ready for the greatness God is going to give us, and that's a great reminder that if we're not, He's got ways that will remind us, hey, you're not quite there yet. So continue that path, continue that learning. With that idea, how do you push yourself? I mean, our world today is crazy. I love the positive mindset. I love the focus of gratitude. But how do you continue that? Because we got all kinds of stuff we can take us off track. So how do you keep pushing yourself towards that positive?
I think as we go on in our journey, first of all, it gets easier. Second of all, you have a lot of people that want to see you fail.
Yeah,
And that's one. And three, these habits become who you are.
yeah,
I was actually on Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. And someone asked me, on those public questions, what do you do for fun? And I was like, well, it really depends what you call fun, because I call fun going on a 10-mile run in the beach on the strand on a Saturday morning and finishing with a nice coffee. That's really what I call fun. And a lot of people don't really believe it, but I call that fun.
yeah.
I really,
That
I
sounds
call
good. Except for
going
the
on a
10-mile run part.
yeah, but I really call that, after that, getting my journal in the beach, getting a good meditation, that's genuinely what I call fun. Watching a football match live in the stadium, I call that fun, and I don't have to be under the influence. Like,
Yeah,
I generally call fun. So these habits become who you are, and I generally um have fun with them. So I think I don't think I need to think of things that drive me. They're just in me already. This is
right.
in my DNA already.
That's awesome. That is great. And it's always interesting that that mindset and how that makes you, how that forms into your daily habits and everything like that. With seeing what you're interested in, helping the youth and so forth. How do you think that's going to affect our future? How do you think your input is going to make our future better? I think you're training a future leader. So how do you think you're going to influence that?
Oh man, I really believe so. Right now, I'm in a mission. My son's 13 years old.
Okay.
I just want to train him until he's. I don't train him. I'm sorry. I just want to enjoy him and his
Yeah.
development until he's 18 and he's able to just kind of go on his own. And then I'm going to go back to training the youth. I'm going to develop one of the best athletes in Southern California because of who I am, because the way I understand soccer. And sports are not really sports. They're just coaching young
Yeah,
humans. That's how
right,
they is. And a lot of people really get the perspective, you know, like Kobe wasn't the greatest athlete because of his skills, it's because of his mindset.
right.
So that's where it's at. So I really want to train these kids. I'm actually training a lot of young entrepreneurs right now into, like, they want to get into house flipping, they want to apply better habits, they want accountability partners and stuff. So I'm guiding them through my coaching group, and I know for a fact. So one of my first students, he after a month, he bought his first investment house. So that
Wow.
really made me happy, because now I'm changing people's trajectories life. And if he can stay disciplined and apply everything, he's going to teach that to his kids. So now we're not impacting lives, we're impacting generations.
Yeah.
So that gets me
Awesome.
super excited. It gets me fired up, and you know, I try to guide my son through always pushing himself. He was on an ice bath last night after we went to the gym, and he was
Wow.
on an ice bath. So you know, our kids do not do what we tell them. They do what we show them.
Right.
So
Right.
so that's I'm being leading by example, leading from the front.
Awesome. Wow. Well, great mindset, great attitude. I look forward to seeing some of the results of, your work and what you're doing. But if you can, Yanni, tell people where they can get a hold of you, how they can follow you, because you got some great stuff out here. So let them know if you can, how they can get a hold of you.
Appreciate that. So I'm very active on Instagram, which is Yoni Yoni Rios, Rios 07. I'm also on Facebook, first and last name Yoni Rios. My email RIOSYONI, so last name first name @gmail.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there as well. And yeah, man, if anybody has any stuff that they're struggling, I'm pretty sure I've been there. You know, we've been under the bad, the good, the bad, and the great. So I've been there, and I'm super excited every day. This is who I am. This is the energy that I portray every day. And yeah, man, this is it.
I love it. I love it. You would be fun to be in the same room with, because I feed off that energy and I just love that. So, Yoni, thank you so much for taking the time to be a guest on the Encouragement Engineering podcast. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, your mindset, what you're offering our world. So keep up the great work.
No, thank you so much for hosting this. And anybody like, you know, give reviews to that podcast. Thanks to these podcasts, we can impact more people. And we need more podcasts like this one. Bob is doing such a great job, and all we want is to impact more people's lives. So remember, you are what you attract. So just be better.
Thank you so much, Yanni. I appreciate your time.
Okay,
Thanks.
talk soon.
Take care.